Hello everyone and welcome to tonight's live stream. We are live and we are doing a question time live stream where I get to answer your questions about Unreal Engine, game dev, or anything you really want to ask at all. Well, the way it works, all you got to do is put your question into chat. I try and grab as many questions as I can. And if I do miss your question, don't worry, just put it back in the chat again and I'll try and catch it around. We do this every week, hopefully, so we'll see how it goes. But if you want to start putting your questions in, that'd be great. I'm literally just waiting for Unreal to open up. It's been very weird and slow and not opening as it should, so we'll see how it goes. I don't know, but yeah, we'll sit here and wait for that to go on, and I'll try and answer some questions that don't involve using Unreal. So a couple of questions have come through already before we went live. So SV was asking a question about Mario and Luigi Brothership released recently on Twitch. It was entirely made in Unreal Engine. I was wondering if you had any idea how their turn-based style of combat was made. I haven't seen their combat, but if it's turn-based, it'd be very similar to what I've done with my JRPG series. Probably a bit more simple, being a Mario and Luigi game. But yeah, I imagine it would be pretty much the same as that. The way all those sort of systems work is that you have something looking after whose turn is who, and that sort of pattern of gameplay, and that's usually the game mode handling that. Yeah, and that's it really. So if you want to see how it's done, check out that series if you haven't already checked it out. Yeah. Iron Thumbs, how do you go about turning a GIF, such as the one linked above? Oh, I can't see the GIF, into a UI widget, successfully controlling the breathing with slightly lower the heart rate back to normal. Oh wait, sorry, it moved up and I missed it. Into the UI widget, one which the player must hold and release a button in time with the breathing to increment the float over time. The float is controlling a timed event which simulates the character's heart rate. So you can't use a GIF. GIFs can't be used, but you can turn it into a sprite sheet with some software. You can probably find a bunch online, and use a sprite sheet if you want to control it that way. Otherwise, use an animation. You can control the animation and step it through if you like. See how it goes. But no, you can't use a GIF. But the float would be tied to, if you're using a sprite sheet, just tie the float to the frame it's on. Question from Klaus. How can you make a video series about inheritance for types of characters, bosses, regular ones, tanks, etc.? Most tutorials put everything into their characters, but they work on, but don't show how to scale it. Yeah, sure, I can show you that. It's not too much, yeah. As soon as Unreal Blade opens. Oh, it's so slow. Let me try opening a different version of Unreal. One that's hopefully already compiled. Give me a sec. Let me try this one. Find it. Find it. Let me try that. See if that loads any quicker. Have you checked out the official 5.5 as of yet? No, I haven't, not yet. I will do at some point, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot of little improvements. Nothing super major. We'll see. It seems like a lot of the updates in it are mostly tied around animation authoring, which makes it better for animators. Mega Lights looks interesting, but obviously it's experimental, so we'll see how that fares, especially in situations for games. That is usually the biggest problem that Lumen has currently with that. But yeah, we'll be checking it out soon. There's a few other handy little things in there that they've done improvements on, which are interesting. There's a mobile preview renderer that was quite cool. But yeah, we'll see it. I'll let you know how I'll get on with it. Theoretically, if you already had a setup that draws on a surface with a line trace and a material, how would you measure what was drawn on it and whether or not it matches the intended outcome? So I'm guessing you're doing like a pattern recognition or letter recognition thing. Truthfully, I don't know. I don't know. Yep. Not don't know. I don't know how that stuff works. So not a clue. If I wanted to do something like that, I'd probably go looking for a plugin that's really solved that problem. And it's the same sort of stuff like handwriting detection, you know, that sort of stuff. Yeah, outside my skill set. In your physics tutorial for movement, is it possible to make this networked and work on multiplayer? You kind of. Oh, hold on, Unreal's loaded up. Let me just put this up. Yeah, kind of. So physics originally is at the top very difficult to replicate because the way physics is calculated is based upon your system clock, and replicating that per frame is very expensive to do bandwidth wise. So what you tend to do is you sync up like the variables of it or sync it up over distances and things like that. But however, there is a thing in there to help you sync it in the physics settings. I can't remember what it's called now. Well, I'll have a look once it's loaded up properly. I can tell you. But you can sync up your physics of it. You have to just make sure you are applying physics via the server side of things, not the client side of things, as always. As of the oh wait, you right. Okay. I'm trying to find ones I don't need Unreal yet because I'm still waiting for the bloody thing to load. Culprit Gaming. How did you get into game development and steps taken to gain knowledge you have over time? So I started game development in university. I studied game development at University of East London. At that point, though, I was learning it to program Shockwave games, and that was how I got started. But I was always designing games and coming up with stuff like that, and I just kept on doing it. I kept over the years learning new software, learning too. As you know, Shockwave is dead, so I quickly learned other things like GameMaker and Unity, and then eventually, obviously, Unreal. I was a teacher of it for a very long time. Well, technically still am if you would count this stuff, but I was doing that for the longest time. I was like a manager and all sorts of things. Let me just jump over to here. So that's how I got a start in it, really, and kind of stuck with it, really. Doing bit by bit, making stuff, releasing stuff, learning more, getting better at it. Just keep making stuff, and eventually get noticed. People then hire you, and yeah, off you go. Okay, so there was a question here. Where was it? Matshish, can you make a slide mechanic like an FPS? I understand that you need to play with friction, etc. I can't get the right feeling, aka start fresh, then start fast, then slow down till you stop moving. Yeah, so let me go through that. Let me bring in the first person template. Hold on. Save me setting all that up. I've actually done this recently on another project, which I could have loaded up, but never mind. Okay, so in the first person map, let's go over there. And go to the first person character. And I'm just going to do a quick keyboard input for left shift. And that's going to be my button to slide. So we'll create a function, start slide. So a couple of things with sliding is you need to crouch and propel the character forwards and kind of lock their turning. Okay, so on the start slide, break it down into parts. So first thing you need to do, make it crouch. Okay, which if you haven't done so already, you need to go to character movement and turn on the crouch feature. Can crouch. And then I want to increase the I want to boost the character's crouch speed quite simply. So I can just do that in the character movement component. You'll see max crouch speed, set max crouch speed, crouch speed. And this is just a way. There's loads of ways of doing this, but let's just do this. Max crouch speed will do 1,000, so quite fast. And we'll do set timer by event, and the time we'll do this for is slide time. How long should they slide for? And the event we're going to do, we'll create an event, create a matching function, and call it one stop slide. Okay, and stop slide is just to undo the things we've done in here. So we're going to take uncrouch and change the max walk speed of crouch again. Oh, uncrouch. And set that back to 300 as it was. Like that. Okay. First bit. Next bit is you probably want it to lock its movement, so it just keeps on going. So, oh sorry, on press we can do start slide. There you go. So on a movement component over here, this is triggered when we are sliding forwards, right? Well, I also want to add moving input when we are sliding. So I'm going to need to do this on a tick, which is basically what those things are already doing. But we're going to have a branch in here that indicates whether or not we're sliding or not. So just promote it to variable. It's sliding. As I said, this is one of many ways you could do it physics-based if you wanted to, but this works just as well. And in here, you're going to do add movement input. The while direction is the current actor's forward direction. So get actor forward vector. And scale value is that. Okay. I then also, on my movement graph, want to put that branch in there too. To make it so it ignores this when we are not sliding. So in branch sliding is false. Do all that stuff. So all we have to do then is turn that boolean on and off. So on, off. Okay. Now, what's really good about this is that our character is going to slide and continue moving for that duration. So that solves that problem. The other problem is we want it to always go to which way the forward vector is going. At the moment, on the first person character, their yaw is set to use controller rotation yaw. So basically, if I turn my head, I'll slide whichever direction I've turned my head, which we don't want to happen. I kind of want to turn that off whilst we're sliding. So on the start slide, we're going to turn that off. Use controller rotation yaw. And we're going to put that on stop slide and turn it back on. This is for first person. You want this. Third person, you don't. And then on the character movement component, we just want to double check their rotation settings. Okay. Yep, that's all fine. So this will slide locked in a direction. It won't move whilst it's sliding. If you want it to move slightly as it's sliding, there's a few other things you could do with that, but I'm going to show you that in a second. Let's just see if this works. It probably won't. Never. That's the first time. Hello. Oh. Hang on. Why is it telling me to always move? Sliding is false. Is sliding false? It's true. Yep. And oh, turn it off. The default was on for some reason. Okay. All right. So if I running and I left shift, I slide, and I forgot to put in the time slide. Told you, never get it right first time. Slide time of 1 second. Maybe a bit too long. We'll see how it goes. So, yeah. Something like that. And what you can also do is if you want it to be smoother in and out, you can R-interp the crouch speed. So on stop slide, we've got max walk speed of crouch going back to this. I can just make another variable and do target crouch speed. And that's going to be a float. And compile that. That's going to be set to 300. I'm going to set that to there instead. Oh, it didn't compile it. 300. There you go. Like so. On the event graph, when I've stopped sliding, false. Take target crouch speed. Get crouch speed. F-interp 2. Target is that one. Delta time. Delta world seconds. Interp speed is how fast you want it to interpolate. There we go. And we do set max crouch speed. Okay. And that'll go up to there. Now for the start slide, we want it to start almost immediately usually. So max walk speed, I'm going to start it at 1,000, so I change it straight away. But I also want to make sure I set the target crouch speed to 1,000 as well. Otherwise, it will slow down too quickly. So let's set that to 1,000. Just do that. And now you're going to get like a smoother runoff when you come and do that. I should also make it so it uncrouches when a little delay for when we uncrouch. We'll do that. Yeah. So this one we're going to do set timer by function name, uncrouch, time of 0.5 seconds. There you go, crouch. Did I get that wrong? Ah, yeah, I did get it wrong. Space, capital C. There you go. I thought that would work on that one, but I guess not. Okay, fine, we'll just do our own one. We'll make another function here, stop crouch. Okay. Normally when I do this as well, I'll usually tilt the camera as well by adding a camera modifier. So you go blueprint class, all classes, camera modifier, and we'll do CM tilt, slide tilt, we'll call it slide tilt. And on this one, we're going to override the modify camera. Location we're not changing, so we'll just put in location. Field of view we're not changing, put in FOV. But the rotation here, I'm going to take the current rotation and I'll combine that with a slight tilt, or a slight roll in my X over here. So we're going to add in here. I need to get the hang on. Get player camera manager. Get the actor forward vector. No, I want to rotate and transform that, don't I? Get world transform. There you go. No, should we just get actor transform? What we're doing? There we go. Get to transform, and I want to roll this. It has to be relative. This is not relative. This is the world rotation. So I need to take this and transform the rotation with inverse transform. So in here we're going from world space to local space. Actually, no, we'll do local space to world space. Transform rotation. There you go. Put it in there. And I'll rotate it in the X by, I don't know, 30. And put that in there. So on the camera, go stop slide. And we're going to apply that camera modifier. So the way you do that is with a camera manager. You're going to do add camera modifier. You're going to choose the tilt one we just made. But you need to store it as a value because we need to remove it later. And you can't remove it if you don't have a reference to it. So make sure you store that. Slide modifier. There you go. Slide mod. Okay. Then on stop slide, we'll take that out and remove modifier. And that's where you plug in the one we just had. And if I've done that right, it should... Wait, not that. It's constantly adding that to it. What do I want to do? View rotation. It ain't just 30, is it? Do I have to just do that? I can't remember now. I've done this on the other project. No, see, it's world coordinate so far. That's what I don't want. I can't remember what I did. Did I convert that before? I don't know. It's something like that where I converted it from world to location, relevant location, relative location, sorry. What did I do? Combined that. Get actor transform rotation in the X. Player manager, get actor transform. What did I do? I think I got the get no, what am I doing? Get no, I'm gonna get the player controller, get the view target, and get the forward vector. Ooh, spelled correctly. And then I want to take that as a rotator. So make rot from X. So, and then I want to I'm going to take that rotation. Oh yeah, no, that's right. We take that, put that in there, and then we get actor transform, then add it on to here. Is that right? Transform. I don't know. We'll see. If not, we'll move on. Kind of. No, not exactly right. But yeah, you get the gist. That's the kind of what you want to be doing, is tilting the camera if you want to do that there. But now, moving on. I don't spend all the whole time on it. Anyway, moving on to the next question. Oh yeah, there was a thing about a quick one about inheritance stuff. So how would I go about setting that up? So I'd actually have a base parent character class for the whole entire project. So I'll have this one, and I usually call it character base. And this is for every single character in the game, player or otherwise. And then you'd have the child of that, and that'd be BP player. You have a child of the character base again, and that'd be BP NPC. And then you might have a different one, a child of NPC, enemy. Then you might have children of that one, and you may have like take Halo for example, grunt. I'll duplicate that. Elite, and so on. So you have them. So if I would do this as a folder structure, so you can see how this works, we go character, and we'll put them all in character folder, and then you'd have NPC and player. Like that. And then you have enemies. And then in enemies, you may have enemy characters. Enemy characters. Okay, if you want to see a way of structuring it. So you have a character base, that's a parent of all of them. Then the player, then the NPC, so that will do friendly and enemy ones. Enemies have their parent enemy class, then enemy characters have their enemy ones going in. And that would probably do you just fine doing it like that. There's no written rule for how you should do it, but that's the most useful, one of the most useful ways of doing it. As it gives you the most granularity to separate things out. So on character base will be all the things that are common to all characters, whereas the player would only have things that can be movement based, and you can override functions and override variables, extend them, things like that, make use of interfaces, all that good stuff to customize how you want your characters to behave. But it's essentially the setup you have, but totally up to you really what you want to do with it. That's where I'd go. Right, let me scroll around and see if I can find something. Given a velocity, how can I make a ball that is simulate physics turned off for various reasons? Bounce or falls at a correct angle. Yeah, so when something hits a surface, so let's say there's our BP ball, and we have a hit event. Part of that is knowing the impact normal, okay, the hit normal. And when you get that, you want to get the, first of all, the inverse of this, because that's going to be the normal pointing out, which you don't want. You want to get inverse, so you're going to multiply that by -1. And then you can project the bounce off of a surface. So, what's it called? It's not project. Can't remember what it's called now. Oh no, reflect. Yeah, there you go. Get reflection vector. So you give this a direction, which is this thing, direction of the hit, and the surface normal, which is that, and this will give you the rebound vector of it. So case in point, if I put this on, if I go to the player character quickly, am I in first person? Yeah. And just go to tick, do it on there. I'll do like a line trace by channel. And I do get actor forward vector. Multiply that by 1,000. Get actor location. So start, add that in there. Draw B debug for 1 frame, and then you're gonna do another line trace doing the reflection angle. So you Put that on a branch there. Break that open. And you want to do the reflect vector. And the direction of that is the trace start direction, unit direction, trace end, surface normal, normal, and that'd be a direction vector. You then want to take the location of this hit, so plus that. You want to add that to that, and that's going to be, oh sorry, need to multiply this first to float by 1,000 again. Plug that into the plus, onto the end, and location here also going to start. So you've got another line coming out for where it hit the wall, and we'll do one frame again there too. So you should see we've got this like line bouncing and indicating like the hit of the angle. Yeah. And if you want to ricochet or bounce around a lot more, if you're doing a line trace, that is, you just do that on a for loop and keep on doing it. But yeah, that's how you do the reflect vector. So do it on a hit, and then give it another velocity in that direction. Do you think it's best to have hit animations? Hang on. That's it. Do you think it's best to have hit animation montages in animation blueprint? I know blueprints are more for states, and the blend space looks so good because of how it blends the 4 directional anims. Yeah, so I would do it as like usually an additive animation. So and you layer the additive animation onto the in the blueprint. So when it gets hit, it plays the additive part of the animation, and because it's additive, it will just add it onto whatever animation they're currently doing. So if they're running, they'll get like the hit animation, wherever it may be. So yeah, unless it's like an interruptive hit. So if they're going to get stunned and knocked back a little bit and stumble, then it'd be a montage, because you want that to interrupt any animation. And that's kind of what you want to do with montages. Think of them as sort of interrupts. You're interrupting whatever it was currently doing with something completely new, which works for most cases if you want it to be like really like disruptive. But if you wanted to just like show like a little flinch when they get hit and things like that while running, then you can do it with additive animations. It depends on like, sort of the level of the hit that you're trying to do. Asmund, hey Ryan, have you looked into the State Tree AI stuff? Pretty fun stuff. I have somewhat. Why did I stop? I stopped. I think it was because the version I was in, I can't remember what version it was, kept crashing, and then I went in to go in to do more in the new version. It was completely different. I was like, for crying out loud, so I thought I'd give it a second, wait for them to settle on what they want it to be like before I've done any videos on it. But yeah, I keep meaning to go back into it. We've done it obviously a little bit for the mass AI stuff. We just saw a question about are we going to go back to do more videos on that? Yes, I would like to. It's just a matter of timing and the stability of that system. We were actually doing it the other day with someone in a private session, and it weren't behaving the way it should have done. It may be in the version that we were in. I'm going to try it in 5.5 and see if it's any better. But it feels like there's a lot of finicky stuff in it. Have you looked at Anim Tutor tables? Not yet. I saw obviously the video. We'll see. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. Uh, Thai Love Pie. Since widgets don't exist on server, how do you handle sending information to and from the server from widgets? Yeah, so you want to basically use your player control and player state as a direct control thing between yourself and the server. So if you send everything through the controller to communicate to the server, it's a lot easier. So that's how you best handle it. So, for example, with Mimic, we have this exact thing where the player would interact with a console, enter a code, and that code would start the alarms and going off. So obviously the server's got to start the alarms, but the player's entering the code. So the way it works is the player enters the code gets sent to the player controller, which is then replicated on both obviously the player client and also the server. They send it over to the server version, which then checks it and fires off the thing. So the best way to think about it is using the player controlled and player state, depending on how public you want this information to be, to replicate over to the server. If you want everyone else to see your information, then you use the player state to replicate that information over. So let's say let's say you update your status or whatever, like type in a new status for your character. I don't know. You could then see that on everyone else's because everyone can have access to the player states. If it's a chat log, then chat log would go through game state because that's shared to anyone as well. If you want to send a private message to someone, you communicate via their player state, so you can do things like that. Zali Panda, hi. What do you think of UE5 versus Unity? If compared in context of speed of development for UE5 for Unity C#, what would be faster and easier with not big indie project? Obviously, I'm a bit biased, but Unreal Engine's blueprints are incredibly fast to prototype games and get them out. Hell, you can even make the whole game in Blueprint and have no issues. Mimic is currently all in Blueprint. I have not yet had to go into the C++ and change things around. Currently, works fine. So it's pretty strong in that sense. Lottie, do you use Metasound for Mimic? I do. We use it for sound effects and music, and it's how we mix the music as well using Metasounds. Yeah. Let me grow up. Yeah. Let me scroll up and see what ones I've missed. If there's some that stands out. Cyber, is it possible to split the default Unreal character movement component while staying network compatible? For example, to create an alternating button mechanic to move forward. I mean, no is the short answer to that, unless you want to go into C++ yourself and override that. But to do an alternating button mechanic to move forwards, I would like doing like QWOP type thing. That would be input based, nothing to do with the character movement component. All input based. You just turn one off, turn one on. Blah 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 blah. For porting on consoles with UE5, is it possible to make it without C++? PS4, 5, Xbox One S, Nintendo Switch. No, you don't have. I don't think you need it. The thing you do need is a developer license and the developer plugins for Unreal, which you can only get when you're an official developer for those platforms. But everything should, I believe, everything should work just fine as it is. There may be a couple of things you may have to do, but other than that, it should be fine. What are you guys talking about? Let me scroll up. Oh, Dishonored teleport system. Yeah, okay. So, if you want to do a teleport blink system like Dishonored, a couple of things. Obviously, their things quite a lot more advanced than what we're going to do right now because we don't have much time, but we'll do best we can. So the first thing is we need to make it so that when we hold down a button, we are tracing out this ability to blink. So rather than use a tick, I'm going to use an input for this. You can do it on a tick though, but it's no problem. IA blink. And we'll do IA blink like that. And we'll put that on the mapping context. And I'll set that up to be the right mouse button. Okay, so this triggers like a tick event. So whilst the button's held down, it's going to fire this off, and which is what you want to do when you want to figure out where you want the player to go. So this will be a line trace to work out the place you want this thing to go. So the start location would be the player camera manager, get actor location, get forward vector, and multiply it by the range of the blink. Okay, which could be variable based upon like upgrades a player has and things like that. But we'll do 3000 and project that out. Oh, and add that onto there. Now, if this is a wall, that's fine because it means we'll teleport to that wall. Okay. But what we want to do in that case is also I'll break it down into steps. So the first step is make it teleport to a wall. So if this is true and it hits something, cool, true, break out the hit event. And what you're going to want to do is you want to do set actor location and turn on, put in location and turn on sweep. So what sweep does is it goes, right, we want to move the character from this point to this point. Anything it collides with, stop and report that as a hit result here. Okay, so this is where we can do things like clambers up and things like that. Not teleport. Teleports if you're doing things with physics and you want the physics to continue going on where they are. But for that, we don't need that. Okay, so this will just move us to that location. Let me put debug on for 1 frame. Actually, I won't do that just yet. I'll put that over here and store that as a location. Blink location. Like that. And then on the input event, when we complete it, send it to the blink location. Okay. So what we see here is there, and I can blink to that location there. Whoop. Oh, there you go. Okay, so where this falls apart at the moment is when I want to blink just directly forwards and not hit a wall, like here for example. I won't work like that. Yeah, I just get. Well, no, I touched the wall then. So on the player character, when you're doing this trace, if this is false and you're not hitting anything, you don't want to trace. You just want to get the end location, or trace down if you want to trace to the floor maybe. But we'll do a floor trace. So we're gonna take. We'll do another line trace. It's actually, it would be better to do a capsule trace, being honest. Probably be better to do a capsule trace rather than a line trace. Yeah, do a capsule trace. Let's do it properly. Capsule trace by channel. So benefit of the capsule trace is you don't need to do the sweep because the way capsule traces work is they're going to respond when they first hit. So long as the size is correct, you shouldn't have an issue. So we'll put that draw debug on for 1 frame. And all you got to do is make sure that this is the same size as your capsule, which you can always guarantee if you drag it out and get the radius and get the half height. Like that. And that will give you the blink location. Okay. And just show you this. Oh, don't need this. As I say, you don't need to sweep then. Just leave it like that if you want. I mean, you can do. So there's your capsule. Okay. You just put your wherever you put your capsule there. Okay. Well, let's say I want to like go in the air like this, right? So now you can, if I want to go in the air, all I have to do is change this location to a select vector. Actually, get rid of that if I wanted to. And that'd be a blocking hit goes into here. Or just use that one if you want. If it's true, location. If it's false, trace end. It gives you the blink location. And we can go in the air. Whee! Okay. And all I would then do is make a clamber system. So if I'm close to the edge, I will clamber up the rest of the wall. So if I get pretty close to it, I'm not too bad. So at the moment, I'm clipping with the wall that I'm against. So no matter what I do, I can't get out. So it may be worthwhile starting it off a little bit in front of the character, maybe. So we'll do at a location plus the forward vector multiplied by a small amount. So we'll do that to float. We'll do that as like 20. Put that there. And that should be a start point. So now is sitting a little bit more forwards. And I can guarantee I can always teleport when I want to teleport. Yeah. Obviously, there's more you can do to it to improve it. So, like, if cutting at corners like this, for example, won't currently work because the wall's going to block it. So, like, there'd be a separate thing I would do in this case, but for the most part, it'll be fine. Yeah. Hi Leroy. If creating an effect for characters using actors in top-down template to make an airborne status, would you manually set an Z offset on the owner, or would you use a character movement node? It depends on how deep you want to go with it. I mean, a simple thing you can do is just basically just change the animation and move the character mesh up if you wanted to, or add an animation that is up in the air a little bit. So the character's not actually going anywhere. It just looks like it's off the ground. But if you want to go really high up, then you have to change it to flying mode and then do animation stuff. It depends on what you're trying to actually achieve. How useful is UE5 gives you out of the box? It works okay, but can it be used without additional rework with C++? It's all things production ready. Yeah, well, not everything's production ready, but yeah, pretty much. Is there a plugin or method to put custom events and rep notifiers into categories? So no. It probably is a plugin. Rep notifiers. Cannot rep notifiers go into categories? Oh, what the functions you mean? No, wait. Hang on. I've never actually tried. Hold on. Rep notifier. Oh, yeah, no. No. there may be a plugin, but not a clue. Yeah. No clue. Um. Do. Mage Games. Is there a way to add objects that can be walked on to a nav mesh? I have a slanted ladder. I'm guessing maybe ladder. I don't know. At a 45-degree angle, my player can walk up it to the roof, but my AI can't chase him up. Is there any workaround for this? Yeah. So let's say we do that 45-degree angle thing. So let's put a nav mesh in. Push P. There's the nav mesh. So you can actually. Oh no, I'll just do something else. There you go. And we'll change that to 45. Snap. Boom. Right. Okay. So you're saying 45 degrees. You've got your player running up there. I mean, bravo. That's pretty steep. So if you made your character do that, the reason why you've made your character be able to do that, and the reason how you've made him do that, is because you've gone on character movement here, and you've put in the angle of climb in here, wherever it is. Maximum walkable floor angle, 44 degrees. So I'll do 46 degrees. It will climb that thing there. Okay. Case in point. If I go up there, I can climb it. Now, the AI is not going to generate the go on that just yet. And the reason why is got a nav mesh generation. So what you need to do is change how your nav mesh is generated. So you do that in the project settings. And you go into navigation mesh. And go down here. And you agent max slope is 44. Change that to something higher. Let's do 50. And now it can go up that slope. Okay, so just make sure the agent settings on the nav mesh generation match what you're trying to do with the character. Okay. Yeah. Sega Hinsu, when a character has different weapons, how to set different animations for different types of weapons. For example, different types of rifle need different animations. Now, obviously, we can't do this right now fully because of this, what we've got set up here. Not going to take, it's going to take too long. But if I go to the third-person character, I'll show you how this is achieved. So, in your animation blueprint, you want to set up animation layers. Okay, so you go into animation and you go layer interface, animation layer interface, open this up, and you put in the different layers you would have. So for example, we'll have full body, upper body, lower body. Oh, that's not a spare body. And IK stuff. Okay, it's pretty typical setup you have here. And so you have all these animation links going into here. With the full body, no, sorry, with upper body, lower body, and IK, you want these to all have inputs. So click on this, input pose. This one has input pose, and IK has input pose. Full body, I'll probably leave alone as having no input pose. So then on the animation blueprint, you need to set this thing up to use the animation layers. So you go to the class settings, and no. Yes, I can't remember now. It's not this interface, is it? Oh no, it is. Compile. Yep, there you go. So the animation layers are now here. IK layer, lower body, upper body, full body. So this whole animation graph here, you wouldn't have it on this graph here. You'd have the lower body, the full body, upper body, lower body, and IK. Right. This doesn't look right. I probably messed up. There's two types of linked animation stuff. I'm probably messing it up. Let me just make sure. Layer, animation layer. Just not that one. It doesn't look right. I've done something wrong. What the hell did I do wrong? Didn't mess up, did I? Animation. No, that sounds right. So you have these plugged into here, right? So if I compile this, obviously, oh, crash, brilliant. It's not going to do anything. We'll go back to that. So basically, what you do is you have like a different animation blueprint for each weapon type, and then you can layer them in to each other by building on top of them. So let's see if that's saved anything. Yeah, okay, do that. Trying to think what no, not. There was a thing, it looked different. It's like a darker purple. What the hell was it? Nim layer. Just double checking. No, don't know. Oh. Interface Ali. Save that. Bum, 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 bum. This doesn't look right at all. Unless they changed something about it. Maybe missing a bit. No, okay, that's definitely it. How is it? Hang on, I can't remember what it's called. Let me have a look. No, it's not that. Where are you? What the hell is it? I don't like since they've changed their whole thing around on the website. It's making things hard to find. Right. I'm not going crazy. Right, so you do this. And then it is a thing in here. Linked anim layer. We put the inheritance thing in it. It's not already in there. Ali. Oh, no. What? Why is it not appearing? Class settings. Oh, there. Oh, whatever. Linked anim graph. Yes, this one. No, it's not. the hell is it called? Linked anim layer. It's these, but it's not these, if that makes any damn sense. Because it keeps crashing it. It's like a darker blue, purple. Linked anim. It's not something I've got to change, is it? There's a layer. Instance class. No. Why? It's gonna crash again, isn't it? No, okay. So you do this, like you have the linked layer. I don't know why it won't work. You have all of them. And then this stuff, for example, you'd put in the layer over here. So full body, for example, would have that in here, right? And then that'll be doing that. Then you have another animation class, right? So let's say you have another animation blueprint, which is using the same skeleton. That one. ABP rifle. Okay, so this is you holding the rifle. So you do all the stuff, same thing. But this thing is going to use the same inheritance. Okay, so you go ahead and use the class settings and yeah, Ali. Yeah, that's it. And you put in, like, go into full body, and you put in the rifle stuff in here. And all the other ones you do as well, put them all next to each other. And when you equip the weapon, don't crash. When you equip the weapon that you want, let's say this, imagine this is the weapon, you get the mesh reference, and you do linked, what's it called? Layer, link anim class layers. Like this, and you pop that in with the animation APB rifle, and what that'll do is it swap out the layers. So Manny will no longer be using this full body. It will use the full body as part of the linked animation stuff. This also works really well when you're working in a team. You can have multiple people work on different animation blueprints, and they can all be used in the same character. You just swap them in and out with the layers there. What else? No, that's it really. Yeah, just does that. So I don't know if there's a way for me to actually show this. I'll tell you what I can do. On the full body here, if I copy that, disconnect that, and go to rifle, and put that on the full body here, without crashing. There you go. We'll point that to a variable. The event graph will make the same as well. Event graph, blah 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 blah. Copy. You probably can make this a child, and rather than doing this, I've never thought about that. You could just do that, I guess. Quick variable. Quick variable. Quick variable. Create variable. Quick variable. Compile. Right. So our animation blueprint now won't do anything by default, right? So this will only happen when I push like the 1 key. It'll link the layer, and if you want to unlink it, it is as you think it is. You just unlink. You choose what class you're unlinking. So, yeah, just do that. So if I push play, we'll be in T pose or A pose, whatever you want to call it. Hit 1. Right, crashing. There you go. And it links the animation layer in. And if I let go of 1, we go back in. So this is like the equivalent of me equipping a different weapon. Right. Yeah, and that's how that works. So you can link different layers in like that. Um. Is there any way to get all children of a class in Blueprints or any workarounds you can think of? All children of a class. No. No. But I'll be interested to know what you're trying to do, because there'd probably be a better way of doing it if you're trying to do something like that. So yeah. Ziplinder. Did you show this useful trick? I can't see the image on the Twitch thing. I'm on the OBS. I can't see whatever you posted into the thing. Miss Ryder, do you think voxel graphics will replace polygons? Nah. I think it'll be fun. Can you explain how you can have multiple classes into the same character, similar to the game Three Realms? What the hell is Three Realms? Let me have a look at what the picture image is saying. Me. The YouTube link I can't see, so let me see if I take the youtube.com/. I can't see that video. Let me try putting in the watch thing. There you go. For each loop sucks. What's he saying here? Why does it suck? I mean, for each, yeah, if you have nested for each loops, it can be pretty bad. So things like for each loops and for loops and anything that's iterative like that, they themselves aren't bad. It's what you do with them. So people, this is one of the annoying things about the game development is dealing with people spreading bullcrap. So things like tick and for loops, things like that, aren't expensive. The thing that's expensive is what you do with it. So if you're doing heavy taxing things, then yes, it's going to be expensive. That's the first thing. The second thing, you should not worry about optimization or expensive stuff or anything like that until later on. Get the game working first and then worry about optimizing it later. You're going to spend too long wasting time trying to optimize when you don't need to. Like, it's pointless. Don't bother. There's loads of misconceptions people have with how this engine works and everything else about it. So, like, like if you're not, like, I'll give you a good myth busting thing. So you may be aware that then in the class defaults of all your actors, you have this thing called start with tick enabled, all right? And you'll see all these keyboard warriors online say, turn it off. Yeah, tick is really bad. First of all, tick isn't that bad. It depends, again, what you're doing with it. But regardless of that, they'll say, like, if you're not using it, turn it off. Blah, blah, blah. Fun little fact, if your tick event is there like that, then tick is running. If you delete it, tick is no longer enabled. It enables and disables based upon whether or not the node's actually there. If it's ghosted, it means it's not there as well. So having no tick event is exactly the same as turning off that. No problem. Yeah. So there are loads of little people worrying about like optimizing, like make sure you don't do it on tick, like, and they're worried about the wrong things. Like people often ask me, like, is line trace expensive? No, not at all. But things that are expensive are going to be things related to rendering. Rendering is the most expensive thing you can do in a game, so therefore anything related to rendering is going to be expensive. Another thing, that anything that sounds expensive is going to be expensive. So if you're told it to say, get actor of class, for example, if you do an analytic event or a looping event, then yes, that's expensive because you're telling it to search through every single actor to find the one that you want. That's expensive. Yeah, you've got to think of better ways of doing it. But don't stress about performance at all until you get the game working. Otherwise, you'll never finish a game, ever. So don't worry about it. Trying to make a tuning for. I didn't actually watch the video. That video. Hang on. What's he actually doing? Again, it depends on what you're doing. I'm not gonna bother going through all this stuff. The main thing to remember as well, another main thing to remember, I always say that phrase, is you after all do have a budget to worry about, right? So what is he doing with his for each loop to get that sort of performance? Let's have a look. Well, yeah, he's just doing. He's adding crazy amount of. Yeah, no wonder why. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, he's having bad performance because he's doing a crazy number of loops and things. You don't need to do that many. Yeah, it's stressing over the weirdest things. Don't worry about it. So, yeah. Don't worry about performance. Get it working first. Yeah, and people will often do like weird test scenarios as well when they show stuff like this. Well, they go like, oh, the tick event's really bad because I'm spawning all these actors or bullets or whatever. Create all this runtime. Well, yeah, that's gonna be expensive. Don't do that. Yeah. Or they're trying to add loads of components to their actor. Components are expensive. Try not to do too many in one actor if you can help it. Try to break it apart if you can. And the more broken apart your game is, the better, in my opinion. So, yeah. Anyway. Hope you're well. I am well, thank you, Simple Dan. Is Mimic in Blueprints all of it, or some C++? Currently, Mimic is all in Blueprints, and it runs at 60 plus FPS, full resolution, highest graphical settings, no problem. Yeah. Programming wise, the cost of doing anything with programming is not going to be anything major. The biggest cost you're going to have in terms of budget is going to be your rendering. Always going to be rendering. Computers suck at rendering stuff, so that is going to be always the hardest thing to do, and that's what you're always end up balancing. The actual computational cycles you'll find aren't that expensive at all. Yeah. Anything that is super expensive, you tend to load up right at the start and then leave it hanging. Yeah, unless you don't need it anymore, obviously. So yeah. Next question. Johnny Fernandez, I want to dedicate myself professionally to Unreal. Is there any area within the program that has a high demand for professional work where I could specialize? Thank you. I mean, I mean, it all depends on what kind of field and industry you want to go into. Um, the So, like for example, virtual production stuff is highly sought after right now by a lot of film studios and TV studios, things like that. In terms of games stuff, yep, the best thing to do is learn as much of it as you can of Unreal. But anything to do with UI UX, I seem to get a lot of jobs for. I end up doing a lot of jobs for UI UX stuff. Um, people always want to know about online replication stuff, networking things. I mean, I wouldn't worry about dedicating yourself to one particular area. I'd worry about learning generally almost all of it if you can. Like not all of it, but as much as you can, and then specialize if you're new to it. That is, if you do want to, if you are familiar with it already and want to specialize, pick something you enjoy. After all, it's a job. You don't want to be hating your job. Pick something you want to feel good about yourself in. Thank you for the donation, Johnny. Thank you. AI level design openings with different studios. Yeah, they come up. It's flavor of the month. It's hard to know for certain. The best thing to do is have a general understanding of how stuff works. If you understand that, then you can pretty much go anywhere and do anything. Yeah. The ultimate trick is to learn how to learn. If that makes any sense. So that's my when people say like, "What's your like specialty?" Like, yeah, I'm okay at all these things really, but my main specialty is I'm very good at learning things. So I can pick up stuff, learn it, regurgitate it, and translate it to other people, and figure out how I can explain it to other people. And I'm very good at picking that stuff up. So if someone said to me like, do something with a whole new like megalites, for example, become an expert in megalites, and like I'll say, or not become an expert. They'll say like, can you make megalites work in our level? I'll say sure, because and even though it's brand new, I've never touched it before. I could probably figure it out quite quickly. That's the thing. That's the ultimate skill to learn. If you learn that, then you can do anything. Um, I once, as a little anecdote, I had a friend who was a programmer, and he done like web-based programming things, and he got offered a job for a website. He worked for the BBC, but he got a new job offer for another website, and they were doing something in a language called Go, and he had never touched a Go before. And he said, "Yes, I know it," and done it, and learnt it within 2 weeks of doing the test and getting hired. And that's it. He done it in 2 weeks, and he did that because he knows programming in general. And once you know one, you can kind of figure out the rest. It's not too difficult. You just they're all very similar, and that's the trick. Is like if you learn how to learn, you can pick up any job. It's not too hard. Real time Batman. Rhyme with the line trace. Ricochet. How would you make it loop the bounce by only a set number of times? It would just be like a for loop. You're just doing a for loop number of times. With a or you make it, yeah, do a for loop with or a while loop probably actually makes more sense. A while loop while the distance is within a certain amount, it'll ricochet or bounce at a certain minimum amount of times. Probably a while loop would be the way to do that. Be careful, while loops, they are easy ways to get into infinite loops. Gonna only answer one or two more questions as we've got to go. Make sure my kids are in bed because it's very, very late. Googling is the best skill program can learn. Yes. Yeah. Another good skill a program can learn is reading. Just reading things and patience. Patience is probably another good skill. Super Daniel, yes. Have your game project or idea working and then optimize it. Yes. There are things you do along the way. As you get more experience, there are things you do along the way because you know it'll be better in the long term for optimization's sake. So, for example, building a level, you may you may just start dragging all these meshes in, but if you're a bit clever, you may be using instant stack meshes instead because it's a little bit more performance improving, and you may do that right off the bat because it saves you a thing to do later on. And so there are things you may pick up along the way eventually, and that you'll speed up your workflow. And this is why people like sequels of games get made quicker than the first version of the game, because they've learnt how to make it optimized. They know how to make it work for that particular game, and they can push it a bit better. That's why sequels are often made quicker and better. Yeah. Yeah, Iron Thumbs, definitely. I will re-emphasize that. Be miserable in your job for 24 years. Yes, it is super important to find joy in your work. Like, I've always said that if Unreal wasn't my job, it would still be my hobby. Because I love doing it. I love making games. I love being stressed out by it. I love just making things. And like, it's my creative outlet. I love talking to people like yourselves, asking questions. I like helping people. I like just seeing people what they're working on. I love all of that stuff. This is why I like doing what I'm doing as a job. I'm probably working more hours now than I've ever done in my life. I'm probably more stressed out than I've ever been in my life, but I enjoy it every day. So yeah, definitely pick something that you want to enjoy. Don't focus on it because it gives you the best job opportunities. Do something because you want to enjoy it. Otherwise, you can end up resenting it, and that's no fun. Anyway, I have to end it there. We've gone a bit over time, but we're back again tomorrow live, and we'll do a live session tomorrow. We'll do a live actual blueprint session, so we'll go through and show how to blueprint something. So do come by and check that out. I don't know, I'm torn between a couple of choices currently for tomorrow's session, so keep an eye on the announcement for that relatively soon. But we'll be live tomorrow, and we're live again next Wednesday for another question time. So answering your questions live again next week. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/RyanLaley. Over there, you'll start seeing the PCG videos are coming out now. I've recorded a few more of those this week. So, yep, keep an eye out for those. They're coming out very soon. Hopefully, people are enjoying the combat scenario stuff. I've really enjoyed making that, and I'm super stoked at how good that comes out. It's a really cool system to work on. So, yeah, do check it out if you haven't already started doing so. That'll do for today. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you hopefully tomorrow. Bye.